so let's talk about the Fiora matchup. Fiora is one of the hardest, if not the absolute hardest matchup for Singed in the top lane. And the reason for this is that literally every ability that Fiora has counters every ability that Singed has. Her passive lets her sustain the damage from his Q. Her riposte lets her completely counter his fling. Her R movement speed lets her counter his ult. And her R movement speed lets her counter his W. Her E slow lets her counter his movement speed. She can keep up with him when he's ulted because her R ult movement speed is actually based off of the target enemy's movement speed. So she gains a 20% movement speed bonus while near the target. She gets a black cleaver, which allows her to run quickly every time she procs a vital. She can also get 4 fresh vitals from her ultimate. She can stun Singed out of his fling. She can permanently sustain with the vital proccing. It's just a very, very hard matchup. She beats Singed at all stages of the game except one. She beats him early game, she beats him mid game, she beats him late game. You can't get tanky versus Fiora because Fiora does max HP 3 damage, and you can't fight her later on in the game because of the inherent way that she fights Singed. So what do you as a Singed player do versus Fiora if you're ever in this situation where you have to play versus her? Well, I would say ban her, but with the way that this patch is, there's a lot of bans that are arguably more important, so banning Fiora every single game might not be possible. So if you have to play versus her, as Singed, what should you do? This is what I like to call my anti-Fiora build. So my anti-Fiora build is as follows. You go Boots of Swiftness, Z0 Portal, Righteous Glory. Up until that point, it's very standard. After this, you want a Luden's Echo, a Dead Man's Plate, and a Rylai's. Now in this build, you're going to notice that the very, very odd item is Luden's Echo. And the other odd item can arguably be Dead Man's Plate because it's not like the most important Singed item. It's a little bit more uncommon now with modern builds. But the most unique item in that build is going to be the Luden's Echo. So why do we have Luden's Echo in this build? Well, you're thinking Singed as a champion is good at running away from people. He's good at, making people chase him, but he's also good at not taking damage because he goes really fast whenever you pop your ult, right? Versus Fiora, that's not really the case. Versus Fiora, like I said before, Fiora is the one champion who can keep up with you whenever you have your ult, your ghost, your Righteous Glory, your movement sequence, and swiftness boots going. Right there, I baited her riposte with my auto attack, and I got her flash. Got her also very low, so I decided to just run in after my fling cooldown's up, fling her and get the kill. So Fiora, like I was saying before, she's the one champion that can actually keep up with Singed whenever he uses absolutely everything in a normal build. A normal build is movements, like versus Fiora would be movement speed coins, swiftness boots, ZZ Righteous Glory, Rylai's, and then maybe like something else to get tankier. This is not a normal build because it has Luden's Echo. You get 10% movement speed from Luden's Echo, and that extra 10% is enough to outspeed her to the point where she can't keep up with you if you have your ult and your ghost running. This is absolutely vital versus Fiora in the late game, because whenever you're getting into the late game versus a Fiora, it's very important to never let her onto you, because if you let a late game Fiora fight you as Singed in a late game split push situation, you will die. There's absolutely no question about it. She will absolutely just kill you. There's not much that you can do about it because of the way that Fiora functions. She's very, 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 very good at killing Singed 1v1 in the mid and late game, and she's already pretty good at it in the early game. So what you're going to see me do with this build is basically just avoid Fiora as long as possible. The whole objective of the build is to kind of flash farm. And what I mean when I say flash farm is that you run to a lane and you take the wave, and then you run around her through the jungle, and basically avoid her, never putting yourself in contact with her, while also eliminating her creep waves in the mid and late game, so she can't split push. So, for example, say that this is like 35 minutes, and Fiora has a bunch of items, and it's at the point where Singed can't actually fight her, and you're both in bottom lane, and she wants to push this turret, and she's right here with her creep wave. Well, or no, actually, better example. Say she's pushing this turret, and oh, let me do free camera, manual camera. Okay, say she wants to push this turret right here, and she's over here with her creep wave, and you're running up. You don't want to be stuck right here versus Fiora, because if you're stuck right here versus Fiora as Singed, no matter what items you have, you will die. She will kill you. So what do you do in the situation? Well, you walk right up to here, and Fiora is right here. And you let the creep wave, you let the creep wave just kind of trickle towards you while you lay your poison trail down. You kill the minions, and as these minions die, she's thinking, oh well, I'm just gonna push this in and then walk into him because my creep wave's coming. What you do, however, is while she's killing your creeps, you run around over this way because you're fast enough with this build. You run around and you catch the creep wave up here, and you just push it over here while she's still stuck over here. Because you're quick enough with this build to the point where you can do that. You don't have to like actually walk past her to get to the creep wave. You can literally just straight up avoid her and nullify her split push. You can't stop her from farming. You can never stop her from farming, but you can nullify her split push to the point where she either has to respond to you or her team has to respond to you. Otherwise, she can't get a good split push off, and it forces her to team fight. In a team fight, Fiora is inherently weaker than in a split push situation because of how she's not really a squishy champion. That's the wrong word to use, but she's vulnerable in a team fight compared to in a 1v1. So you would basically take this wave over here, push up, take this wave up here, push up, take one more wave up here, and put your Z-Zerat down close to a tower. And she has to recall to deal with your Z-Zerat, otherwise your Z-Zerat's just going to trickle hit the tower, and it's going to also stop the rest of her creep waves from coming. So what you do then is whenever she leaves her nest in bottom to split push, or she stops split pushing and comes to you, or it comes to your Z-Zerat to deal with it, you just leave and you go flank the enemy team and you fight them. This is a good example of what I'm talking about. She's 0 and 2, and I'm like triple Darksteel, and she's still almost strong enough to kill me. I did get her flash, and I did let her hit quite a few vitals, but it's just like Singed is not a champion that's good at avoiding her vitals. Singed only has one crowd control, hard crowd control, that's his flank, and that's very predictable. It's very, very easy as a Fiora player to predict the flank. If you can predict the flank versus Singed, you will most likely win the 1v1. And that's the reason why it's very, very hard to take a 1v1 versus Fiora. If I had my completed boots at that point, I probably could have stopped her from proccing that many vitals and killed her. But again, it's a skill based thing for the Fiora. If she's really good at proccing the vitals, then you're not going to be able to stop her from doing it. This game, by the way, is on my Smurf account, so it's not going to be like the best Fiora player, but that's also just another like good example. Like, you don't have to be a good Fiora player to beat a Singed. You don't have to even be a great like. You can be literally, like, you can be a very bad Fiora player and you will still beat a Singed because the matchup is that brainless for you. There's not a lot of thinking required on part of the Fiora to beat a Singed player. It's just historically a very easy matchup for her because literally every single part of Fiora's kit counters every single part of Singed's kit. Winning this matchup is not reliant, or is so hard, because it requires her to mess up. Singed cannot be proactive in this matchup because of the riposte, which means that you have to make her mess up, you have to bait her riposte. And anything in League of Legends that requires the enemy to play poorly instead of you playing well, it can be very, very frustrating. That's actually a problem that Singed has with a lot of matchups, that it actually requires the enemy to play poorly instead of you to play well. But that's a different topic for a different video. So yeah, the build goes Swiftness Boots, Z-Zerat, Righteous Glory, Luden's Echo, Deadman's Plate, and Rylai's. Now the buy order of Luden's Echo and Deadman's Plate can actually be swapped. You can get Deadman's or Luden's either or depending on what you need. Like if the enemy team's 80 threats are super fed, you can get a Deadman's Plate first before Luden's Echo. This game, what I actually did was I got a Randuin's instead of Deadman's Plate, and the reason I did that is because they have a Jhin. In a late game situation versus a Jhin, you absolutely need a Randuin's because he will crit for a very, very large amount. So you need the Randuin's versus Jhin just to stay alive. The good part about Randuin's being swapped out for Deadman's is the Randuin's slow is still pretty good in this build versus Fiora because it's a slow. You can slow her down as opposed to speeding yourself up with Deadman's. You slow her down and it still works pretty well versus her. As far as Fiora herself is concerned, the Fiora matchup itself is concerned, it's not as good as Deadman's. Just because Deadman's lets you run from point A to point B faster, and that's the whole point of this build, is to flash farm and avoid her in the late game and look for flanks and look for rotations. But you can make it work, and I made it work in this video. So right here, I have triple Dark Seal, and I have Swiftness, and I have the first part of my Raptor Cloak, which is Chain Vest. Just chuck her into my Shaco, she gets killed. Pretty easy. Like I said before, this particular Fiora player was not very good, but as you'll see like later on in this game, even though we're stomping right now, we throw a little bit, and even though the Fiora player is not that good, it's just so ridiculously hard to deal with her as Singed because, again, just how inherently good she is versus him. I'm going to skip forward a little bit. Pick the tower, first blood, recall. So now I have Raptor Cloak. Swiftness Boots and Raptor Cloak is a very unique power spike for Singed because it lets him leave his base and get to lane very, very quickly. It lets him just move around the map, like charging through lanes a lot faster than you would expect out of any character, really, even with Singed having like movement speed on the quintessences versus this matchup and things like that. Running past towers, I guess we'll see here in a second just how much latent movement speed you get as Singed. So I'm at 417 movement speed right now. Near a turret, I end up going up to 479. So 480 movement speed just running from base to lane. That's a very high amount of movement speed. This is also a pretty unique combat power spike for Singed because if you fight near a turret with your 3 Dark Seals, Swiftness, and Raptor Cloak along with Crafting Potion, you end up being very fast and people don't expect it, so you can avoid a lot of damage, you can avoid some skill shots, you can avoid getting auto-attacked a lot while you kite around in your poison. So right there, I realized that she was trying to fight me. I tried to bait her riposte with the auto-attack, she cues away, tried to bait it again here, end up baiting it right there. She pops her ult, so I fling her away and try to run, because as soon as she puts the ult down, you know that you're in danger. I end up ghosting away, she chases me with a flash, and she ends up dying to poison because she overchased. But again, she was 0-3 when I took that fight, and she had Ravenous Hydra. I was 1-1, and I had a very large power spike. I had my 3 Dark Seals, I had a lot of movement speed, and I had armor. And even then, she still almost killed me while missing several vitals and not even fully proccing her ultimate. Alright, so here I finished my Zizzirat, and the first thing I wanted to do is go bottom to push that bottom tower because they seem to be having a little bit of trouble with the Jhin matchup. And, well, I guess they're even versus him, or if even a little bit ahead. But because of top lane being that far pushed in and mid lane having a good amount of wave clear, I decided to just run bottom and put the Zizzirat down and push this instead because it seems like bot tower is just good to take here. We end up taking the turret here with my Zizzirat. Lee Sin kicks me back, but I just walk away because I'm not really in that much danger. And yeah, so that's something that you can do after you finish your Zizzirat this early, is you can just go push bot tower. You can also do it in mid. Mid's a little bit harder because the mid laners tend to have wave clear, or they tend to have good wave clear, but bottom laners tend to not have as good of wave clear. And you can really abuse a bot lane recall because it's 2 people that are gone, and it takes them quite a long time to run back to lane. Especially at this stage of the game because it's a very long lane. Even with Jhin having Swiftness Boots, it's a very long lane still to go from base all the way down to here. So that gives you enough time to abuse your Zizzirat and just destroy the tower. So right here, I noticed that LeBlanc was low. I was looking at the map whenever I was running down here. I back off as soon as I see the Fiora teleport coming down, and I just try and bait with my poison trail. She cancels, so as soon as she cancels, I decide to go back in. Not actually looking for the fight here specifically, because I know that Zillion can kite me out with his slow. So like right here, I walk up, and he kites me with the slow. So what I end up doing is just standing here and zoning them while my team takes the turret. We end up losing the top tower for it, but honestly, it's better to get the mid tower and put my team ahead than try and keep this tower alive. Because at this stage, I don't have RG and I don't have Luden's Echo, so I can't really like deal with Fiora properly yet. But whenever I finish those items, it will be easier for me to do that. Right there, we just catch Fiora recalling, kill her, no problem. Almost got my Shaco killed because I procced her riposte. I should have known that she was saving it to kill my Shaco, but it ends up being okay because again, she's not a very good Fiora player. This strategy does work versus like very good Fiora players though. I've played this strategy versus Fiora players who are in Master, High Master. I haven't ever actually done it versus a Challenger Fiora player, because there's so few of them. But I have played this versus High Master High Master tier Fioras, and it does work versus them because even like if you're High Master on Fiora, like what are you gonna do if the enemy Singe can just run from his base to the lane and like take a turret or like take a creep wave like instantly? There's not a whole lot that you can like do to deal with that. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm just pressuring. I notice that Fiora is still top. I run mid. I start pushing this turret. Basically making the conscious decision to sacrifice that top tower right now, but she ends up actually not hitting it yet, and I end up not being able to take that turret. So what I do is I just run back the top lane and try and hold the tower. You see, I'm not even like trying to fight her right now because I know that I can't take that fight and win. Just farming, no big deal. This build really kicks up in power after you get your Luden's Echo. After that point, it's really a lot better, but until then, it's quite a hard matchup. Okay, so I have Righteous Glory now. This is a pretty big power spike for Singed because it allows him to teamfight, allows him to engage, allows him to disengage. My team is getting caught down in bot lane. I noticed that it's actually taking them a long time to kill my Caitlyn, so I'm running over. I get the RG slow. I want to chase down everybody that I can, fling the Zillion into my Shaco. He gets low. Just trying to pin them against the wall. Let me back up actually a little bit. In a fight like this, whenever they're running into the bush and they're very fast, because Zillion can speed himself up and Fiora is just fast in general, what you want to do is instead of just running up like through here, you want to do what I did and pin them against the wall with your poison, because that way if they run left, they run through poison and die, and you also kind of shorten the distance between yourself and the wall over here. Because if I was to just run behind them through it like this, there's a chance that Zillion would have sped himself up and gotten out, and there's a chance that Fiora would have gotten out just because of how fast she is. But I abused the angle, pinned her against the wall, pinned Zillion against the wall, running like this, and we ended up getting both kills there. What am I doing here? Proxying the wave so that my team can more easily push this. Jhin pops the ultimate. I want to keep my creep wave alive, so I'm standing in front of it because he wants to kill my creep wave. I put the Zezerat down. The Zezerat's chunking the shit out of that tower. It's already at about half HP from just one Zezerat bug, and that's 2, and now it's less than half HP. But yeah, whenever Jin's trying to clear a creep wave like that with his ultimate, just stand in front of it. You can take it out. Alright, so here, I think I buy an Aether Wisp. Yeah, so Aether Wisp is the movement... Aether Wisp? Yeah, there it is. Aether Wisp is the movement speed portion of Luden's Echo. This gives 5% movement speed. And Luden's Echo gives 10%. So look at my movement speed now, just on turrets. Just my ambient movement speed is 489. 490 movement speed. That's very, very fast, just running straight up a lane. If I was going from base to bot lane, I'd still be very fast. If I was going from base to top lane, I'd still be very fast. The absolute fastest, however, is base to mid lane, just because of let me back up actually. The fastest is base to mid lane because of this whole section right here. You actually never leave the range of the towers, so you keep your movement speed here. This is really fast for the same reason. You never leave the range of the towers technically, so you keep your movement speed. And running from your fountain from here, this is considered a tower range, and this is considered a tower range right here. So you keep your movement speed here. The only section that you lose movement speed in when you're running from base to mid lane is right about here for a little bit. Other than that, running from here all the way to here with Swifties and Zz'Rot and Aether Wisp is very, very fast. So there, they are trying to fight me. I decide to go for the Goofling on Zilean because I see my teammates walking up. Get the Goofling, he gets silenced and taken very low. I see that Fiora is TPing in, so immediately I want to back off. Sadly, I think they're going to chase me down here. Great Cassio ult. Okay, so I end up getting out, but it's at the cost of Cassio's ultimate. We end up getting the Fiora teleport, which is nice. And we get Zilean's ultimate, which is nice, but Zilean's ultimate actually has a pretty low cooldown, so that's not going to matter as much. But getting the Fiora's teleport there was really good for us. So right here, you see that my team is pinging Baron, and I'm pinging them off of it, because I don't want to take a 50-50 Baron fight versus Lee Sin. Lee Sin will generally win that every time, just because of how his Q execution damage works. He's very good at executing Baron. Again, right here, because I don't have a full Ludens or a Deadman's slash Randuin's yet, I don't want to go versus the Fiora. I mean, I could if I really needed to. She couldn't kill me because of my Aether Wisp, but it's still something I want to avoid. And Cassio's going down there anyways. At this point, I'm very good at pressuring, so I put Zz'Rot there. End up teleporting mid because my team's getting towered of. So I TP right here. I notice that Jhin is taking damage from the tower. Fling him back in. He dies. Lee Sin gets chased down and killed. Then my immediate reaction is to run just straight up mid and push this. So right here, this is something that Cassio did that you should never do versus Fiora. Just remember, Fiora is a champion that wants you to duel her. She's called the Grand Duelist for a reason. You shouldn't voluntarily try and duel Fiora, even if you are far ahead. Like this Cassio's pretty far ahead, just because look what Fiora can do. As a champion, this is what she's literally made to do, is take 1v1 fights and win them. This is not something that you should ever do versus Fiora, is take a 1v1 fight when your tower is at risk. Cassio should have just sat under the tower and wave cleared. No matter how juicy or easy you think that Fiora target is, it is absolutely not worth taking it unless you can one-shot her. Obviously, Cassio cannot one-shot her, so she should not have taken that fight. Because she took that fight, we ended up losing this turret, which is a very big loss. And she got the shutdown on Cassio. I'm gonna rewind and show you guys how I played this top fight over here. Okay. So while Cassio was being a dumbass in bot lane, I decided to run back up the top because lo and behold, my Zz'Rot is up here just doing work. LeBlanc is going up top to deal with it. I see her right here. I notice that she's low, so I just run at her. I'm fast enough because of my movement speed to where she actually has to jump back, and then we just zone her out basically. Okay, so what I did right there, I want to show you what I did right there. So right here, actually I'm gonna fast forward, and then okay, so right here, all I'm doing is I detach the chain, and right here I'm spamming my E on her because we have vision. I'm spamming because I know she's gonna jump back and try and do that. She jumps into the Shaco box, and we end up getting the kill because I got the fling. But yeah, you can actually fling lock LeBlanc's clone like that. Just something to keep in mind if you're playing versus a really fed one. I don't know what Caitlyn was doing in there. League of Legends. Okay, so now I have Aether Wisp, or not Aether Wisp, I have Ludens. So check out the ambient movement speed on towers. I'm at 499, that's 500 ambient movement speed on towers. That's not including ult, that's not including ghost, it's not including RG. 500 movement speed. Meaning I can get to wherever I need to be on the map very, very quickly. So at this stage, if I really needed to play my avoidance game versus Fiora, it's a lot easier. Okay, so right here, I noticed that Fiora is pushing bot lane, but, this is a big but, my Shaco is doing this properly. He's not taking the 1v1 versus her, he's just wave clearing. So what do? Run up, put my Zeret down, and start recalling. However, my team is pinging. They're gonna ping me to keep pushing here. Yeah, they ping me right there to keep pushing. So immediately, I just say fuck it. That's something I probably should do. This build also lets Singed clear waves very quickly. Look how quickly this wave dies. Because of Luden's Echo, that the melees just die very quickly. That's 1 Zeret, that's 2 Zeret, and immediately the tower is less than half HP. Put my W down and run away because I don't want to fuck with the Fiora, and I just leave. But it stopped Fiora from putting pressure on the bot. So right here, my team's doing Baron, and I see Jhin up top, which means that they probably don't have vision of it. I missed the Goofling on Jhin, but it ends up being mostly okay, because the only objective of this is to pressure the Jhin and make them come respond to me while my team does Baron. So we get the Baron, and I just run away because they can't catch me. Again, notice this, Fiora's 1 in 6 here, and just look what she does to my Shaco. Because, yeah, right there, she just, like, pretty much kills him instantly. Probably not a good idea to take the fight versus her unless we're 5v5. Okay, so next item, I'm going to Randuin's. Randuin's, very important versus Jhin, of course. Run bottom, clear this. And this, at this point in the game, this is kind of where the anti-Fiora comes in. Because at this stage of the game, I'm fast enough at pressuring to the point where she either has to recall and respond to me, or someone else does. So right here, she actually ends up running down to clear the wave. And I decided to stay. So right here, she tries to go on to me. Notice how I play this right here. I'm not getting in range of her Q, because if I get hit by that first Q, I have to start running away. But if I can bait the Q and then just start pushing again, it leaves me in a position to where she can't all-in me until her Q cooldown's up again. So right there, I thought she was gonna fight, but okay. So this is actually right here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This right here. You notice how she's killing these creeps. If she were to chase me there, I could have outran her, but she's not. Which means that what I need to do is just walk right on up here and clear this wave and literally just avoid her, because you cannot 1v1 her, but you can avoid her. You can put yourself in a situation where you don't need to fight her because you're putting so much pressure down on the map and you're fast enough to where you can just walk away from her. Bit of an unfortunate fight by my team. Jhin gets massive healing from Fiora's ultimate, so I can't kill him. But I can actually run away, even though she's very, very fast with the cleaver and the boots and the zillion movement speed. I'm still faster because I have W and my ult running, which gives me 505 movement speed. Again, same story as before. They're pushing mid. I want to go pressure a lane. Put that up there. Start recalling because I have Baron. Finish my Randuin's there. So at this stage, I'm actually tanky versus the Jhin as well, which is good. This is where I want to be, is tanky versus Jhin. This I shouldn't have done this. I thought that my team was closer behind me than they were. Jesus. Sorry about that. I thought my team was closer behind me than they were, so I just keep chasing and chasing and getting kited very hard by Zilean. As Singed, you don't ever want to do this. Zilean is probably the best kiter, if not one of the best kiters of Singed, because of the way his slow works. He reduces you to 1% movement speed. Bait my entire team into death. Just not good overall at all. Okay, so I buy the blasting one after that death to go for a Rylai's, because Rylai's is the slow is also very good versus Fiora. Okay, so you're gonna notice right here what I'm... Okay, so pay attention to this, what I do right here. I have enough HP. I have 3.5k HP to where even though there's no minions by this Z0 Voidling, it's still gonna do a decent amount of damage to that turret. It did 200 damage to that, or 100 damage to that turret, okay? Wait, no, it did 200 damage to that turret, just the big one. Which means that if they don't actually respond to this Z0, then as soon as this creep wave passes by, every single Voidling is gonna do 100, the little ones will do 100, and the big one's gonna do 200 damage to the turret. So they pretty much have to go back and respond to that, otherwise that turret will go down. And I learned that right there. I learned during this game that with this much HP, my Z0 Voidling scaling is high enough to where it will still do significant damage to turrets if it's backdooring them. And that actually comes into play a little bit later, I think on my next Z0 cooldown. That was a misclick on my randoms right there. But I ended up using that information to my advantage. Right here, okay, watch this. I noticed that Fiora is splitting top, but my teleport's up, so I can go back if I need to. But instead of doing that, I decide to potentially sacrifice that tier 2 tower for the sake of taking a team fight, which could be good for us. So right here, I notice that she stopped. I decide to go for the fight, and I go for it. Let me back up, actually. So right here, I'm noticing that she's top. Misclick my randoms, no problem. And right here's where I decided to take the fight. I noticed Jhin over on the corner, fling him into my team, get their RG slow, put the W down, Fiora teleports in. As soon as Fiora teleports in and Zillion saves Jhin, I start backing up because I know she's going to go on one of us. She ends up going on Caitlyn, so what I do is I run to Caitlyn and try and peel her. I end up getting a really bad fling. This fling could have killed her, but the idea... I'm going to back up. This fling could have killed my Caitlyn, but the idea of it was to be a peeling fling. Fiora decided to disengage that fight. She probably could have killed Caitlyn if she stayed, so the objective of my fling was to peel her. It ended up working out because Caitlyn ended up having enough damage along with me, or Cassiopeia and myself, to actually kill her in time. But it could have been a bad fling. The idea there was to peel. That's what you want to do versus Fiora whenever she ults her AD carry, is you want to use your fling to peel her off. You don't want to use it to keep going forward and kind of pick people, because you need to save your team from Fiora. Fiora is big enough at that point to where she can go for kills on your backline and be successful. So saving it to peel is very important. I don't know why everyone's just flashing there for some reason. Very stupid. It looks like we're going to end here, but my team ends up getting one shot. My Cassio gets straight up one shot by LeBlanc, because LeBlanc's a very balanced champion, so we have to back up. But not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, so even though Fiora is a champion that's good at pushing waves, with this build on Singed, she actually cannot keep up with me. I pressure the side lane much faster than she pressures hers, and if I have Z0 up, that tower will go down very quickly as well. So it makes Singed into a very, very threatening split push threat. Threatening split push threat. It makes it into a very threatening split pusher. So right here, they're doing Baron. We know, but we can't really stop it, because like, where else they're gonna be? We can't stop it because we have two people dead. Cassio just spawned. I can't stop it. So the best idea is just to try and push a wave as fast as I can and get out. Finish my rallies there. So that means that if Fiora ever gets in a situation where she can try and 1v1 me with her ult, I can definitely still run away. Actually, she's definitely not going to be able to keep up with me here. Using the information that I scouted earlier, I decide to just run up here and put my Z0 down, because I know that this tower will still be threatened by Z0. So yeah, I put that down, and here's here's how I'm assessing the situation right now. Okay, we have an inhibitor already, but they're pushing down mid because they want to just use their Baron power play to just fuck up our supers and push this right here. So what do? I decide to proxy and cut the wave off while this Z0 is drawing attention. So this Z0 right here forces Fiora back, because not only is it stalling this creep wave from coming to her, I'm stalling this creep wave from going to them. So if she doesn't deal with this tower will go down, and I'm stopping her team from pushing. She has to make a decision here. Another objective of this build is to force the Fiora to make bad decisions. So as soon as she goes to deal with that, as soon as I see her up here, what I immediately do, just clearing the wave, what I immediately do, see her right there, I decide to run down and engage on the enemy team. Up everything, get on a Jhin, get a nasty slow, fling him in. He gets Zillion ulted right there. I end up peeling back, or kiting back to heal my team. We just get slows on everyone. Caitlyn's destroying everybody. And that is an example of the types of power plays that you can do with this build. You put Fiora into a position where she has to make a bad decision, and then you capitalize on that bad decision, because there's no way in hell that you will ever be able to beat her in a 1v1. So you have to beat her team in, like, you have to beat her and her team in like a global sense. You have to make her make bad decisions. You have to make it into a lose-lose situation for her. If she were to have grouped with her team, I would have stalled the game, and my Zeret would have taken top tower. If she didn't group with her team, which is what she chose to do, I just flank and kill them. But yeah, that's my anti-Fiora build. It's still a very hard matchup, and you can definitely still lose versus Fiora, but if you're in a situation where she's not completely pounding your face in as Singed, then this is the build that I would do, because it's the only way that you can actually avoid her in the late game without her chasing you down. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube crap. Follow me on Twitch. Been streaming pretty regularly. Haven't streamed for a few days though. Had some nasty games that were really tilting. But yeah, you can catch me on Twitch. You can catch me on YouTube. Follow my Twitter, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you guys later.